Hello. This is Hui from the Cash Flow Addict Show. I believe that cash flow is a good addition, and today I'm super excited to bring you on, or actually bring back, the one and only Jeff Weisbier and Amanda Weisbier. So I know y'all probably heard their story already, or my story. I know it sounds cheesy, but I believe that every single one of us, we are just really one or two meeting or two conversation away from meeting the person that can steer your career in a different direction, right? So for me, that meeting was meeting Amanda Weisbier and eventually led to Jeff Weisbier. That kind of make me change my career from just a guy who study computer science and fix computer for a living to come to something completely different in real estate, right? So anyway, I get a chance to know them for quite a while. I would say 5 years, but I didn't actually was able to hear like a full recap of how Jeff and Amanda, how they actually get into real estate, their struggle in the past, and how really this is like a true rich rag to riches story, right? So these leaders, they're not born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They work hard for it. They get to where they want to be, and now they are helping others getting where they want to be, right? Talking about climbing your first mountain, and then we help others climbing their second mountain. So without further ado, I really want you to listen to this interview. We are able to capture this interview live in front of a large audience right after the build conference. So the energy, the content is absolutely crazy. So listen to it, as your life depended on it. Take a lot of note, come back, listen to it again, share it with your friend, share it with your colleague, share it with anyone that you think that might impact their life in a positive way. So without further ado, I will bring it back to you, Jeff and Amanda Weisbier. So I guess without further ado, like I told you again, this is a team sport. I couldn't get here by myself, without the help of Jeff and Amanda. And but yeah, I would well, perhaps I should tell my story, right? 5 years ago, I was just fixing computer, to be honest, right? I graduated computer science, Hewlett Packard, worked for Hewlett Packard for a while, and then end up working for Schlumberger. I was at the end of my career, but I didn't want to trade, an IT job for a sales job, right? But I keep looking for a company that can give me, not only commission, but some own a piece of it, right? If you want to work for your company, might as well own it, So I'm looking for equity. I'm looking for cash flow, right? If you follow Robert Kiyosaki, the rich don't work for money. We work for equity and we work for cash flow. So I'm looking for something, and I didn't know that this thing called EXP until I stumbled upon this amazing lady, Amanda Weisbier. She bought me a really cheap sushi day. We sit down, she opened her laptop, showed me this thing about like, hey, we look at this thing. This is how you build. This is how RevShare works. This is how the presentation was totally horrible, Amanda. But I call her Amanda. It's half the stuff that you told me is true. I mean, right? So without further ado, I'm gonna have a chance to interview. Thank you, Amanda and Jeff. You guys changed my life. So Jeff and Amanda Weisbier, right?
It was good sushi, by the way.
So in case the audience have some questions, I want to make this interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. We hand you the mic, and then we get a chance to to ask this amazing human being a question too. So one second. Well, so for those that go to build, you probably see Jeff already. So let's start with Amanda first. So who is Amanda Weisbier? Try to like go slow. Tell us how you get into real estate. The early beginning, right? Do you always dream to be a real estate agent?
No, it was a total accident, really. I think a lot of people, it's interesting. He'll tell his story on like people who plan on being a realtor, but a lot of us, life happens or life changes or priorities change. I'm like, oh, this looks like fun. And you went online and took some classes and now you're making what? And of course, everybody watches way too much HGTV. Don't do that, you guys. It's not real. Don't let your friends do that. But I moved to Houston. I have a degree in biochemistry, so like super nerd, science person,
Chemistry.
always in a lab. Naturally super introverted. Like I would rather be in a lab and not talk to anyone for 8 days, or than 8 hours
Wow.
than to pitch someone or sell someone. It just wasn't my motto. And I saw him get into real estate, and he loved it, and he was having so much fun. And my friends were all working 12-hour shifts and dealing with insurance while we were doing medical stuff. And I was like, you guys work so hard and there's so much liability and everybody sues you. Even if you do something right, maybe I'll just get this license thing for a hobby. And so I started real estate as a hobby. And I got addicted to it, like totally hooked. We've been doing it now 13 years and I'm still hooked. So be careful if you're new and you're just thinking you're going to ease into this industry. It is so much fun and there's so many different facets of it. So once you get bored with something, there's 10 other ways to make money in this company. So started at Keller Williams, which is what I feel like everybody did a million years ago. It was before EXP had even come along. And first year, I think I sold, maybe 18 houses and then 30. And then I was like, okay, at the time I wasn't married, didn't have kids. I was like, I'll work nights and weekends. I went to this top producer and I was like, tell me all your secrets. How did you sell like 70 houses last year? And she was like, oh, honey, just go make your calls. Like, well, who do I call? And what do I say? I feel like there's just a secret, world. And so I kept building and it was, oh, this was a waste of time. And that was a waste of money. And after a while, I was like, I need to build a team. I need leverage. I'm tired of working every single night and weekend. And then eventually, it took me 3 years to recruit him. Eventually, he joined my team. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. So,
He's still here. He did good.
yeah. So Jeff, how did you let her recruit you? Who Jeff was before you even selling real estate?
Yeah, so I'll do the short story, but first off, thank everyone for coming here because coming into a shifty market, if it hadn't already hit you, it will. You guys can do a lot of stuff with a lot of things with your time, but for people like you guys that come out and kind of want to learn and be in front of us and ask questions, that's really really cool. So I appreciate you guys coming out and doing this with us. So, but me, I mean, I'll start with high school. So high school, I graduated, top 10 in my class. There was 30 people in that class, so not but I came from a really small town, so I knew in high school that I wanted to be a real estate agent.
In high school?
Yeah, a lot of people, because about 13, 14, people start coming to you and they say, hey, if you do this degree, you can make 45K a year. And if you do this degree, you can make 50, this degree, you can do 60. Where do you want to go? What kind of school do you want to go to, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I don't want to, and they always would tell me how much they made. And that was always like is that the max you can make? Well, yeah. And I'm like, well, okay. Anyway, so my sister called me when I was 14 and she was in Houston selling real estate. And she said, hey, I can't tell anybody this because they'll, I don't want them thinking any different, but I can tell you, I got a $60,000 check today because I double-sided $1 million deal. I brought the seller and the buyer and I got 60 grand today. I didn't have anybody call, so I wanted to call my little brother and tell him. And I was like, you did what? 60 grand in one day? She goes, no, well, it was 45-day close, but blah, blah. And I was like, wow. So then I was like, well, I don't know if my sister could do that. I was like, okay, I'll just go sell one house a year and make 60 grand, right? It'd be better off than doing 8 to 5 kind of thing. So I knew I wanted to do that. So I went to actually college to do business management and marketing in order to ensure that I can build a real estate business, not just kind of dabble in real estate, because business make you money, hobbies cost you money, right? So I knew I wanted to do create a real estate business. So I went to Northwood University School of Business in Cedar Hill. Is that close to here? You're from here, right? Cedar Hill? No. Well, I went to Northwood University. They're like a private like business school, and I said I'm going to be. What's that? Oh, what's it now? That's interesting. Oh, cool. But I went there because they're a business school, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, so I was like, okay, I want to be a real estate agent, and they're like chuckling, like, well, you got to take your basics, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know there was just a test, to be honest with you. Didn't know anything about it. I assumed I had to get a degree. So went there, did sports management stuff, and then I realized that for me, I hate to say this here, but didn't love Dallas. Sorry, but cool. Yeah. So, so I went back to East Texas where I'm from, a little smaller. And I graduated at University of Texas at Tyler. And then with my last year in college, I got my real estate license, and I started at the local Keller Williams office as well. So I sold 8 houses my first year, all for sell by owners.
Okay,
Yeah,
wow.
at then there wasn't too much technology in real estate, but they did have Craigslist, and Craigslist had for sale by owner people. They'd put their for sell my couch, sell my whatever, sell my house kind of thing. So I went through there and I started reaching out to those people, just blindly, and it was terrible for a long time, but I got kind of good at it, and I sold 8 FSBOs my first year. But
you think it's still working now? Doing exactly what you do, especially for new agents.
but yeah, especially now, right? The more the market shifts, those for sale by owners, their motivation is going to shift, right? And if you have a for sale by owner and they're just trying to get 300,000, it'll sell if they get 300. And then if they say that to you, don't really pour in a lot of time to those people, to be honest with you. There's better ways to spend your time. But if you have a for sale by owner that says, yeah, I got to get 250, man, I got a job and Plano, I got to move kind of thing. Those are the people you start plugging into and start, because eventually their motivation is going to change. And if you continue to reach out and give them value, they're going to eventually list with an agent, and that agent should be you. So everything that I did 12 years ago still applies. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I would take note on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jack, you kind of stuck with baseball, but what about you, Amanda? So kind of recall the very early stage of your real estate career. When you don't have a team, you just get your real estate license. What do you do to get traction, to get client, and then kind of go from there?
Well, man, I got lucky. Go ahead.
So for me, I was brand new to Houston. I didn't know any of the area, probably just like Dallas, like every little couple of corners, it's a different community, different schools, different culture, different types of people. I didn't know anything. There was a street called Bissonnette that was a really busy street. I called it Bisonnier, trying to make it fancy. So I should not have,
I did not know that.
oh, it was a hot mess. And so they were like, love you don't have a database, you don't know anybody here, and you don't know what you're doing. So go do every open house you can. Go learn every community, go to all the small town restaurants, go meet as many people as you can. And so I would go out there and I'd put all my signs out. You have to learn, like, be strategic and picky on what open houses you're doing. Don't just do a favor to the seller. Like, make sure it's worth your time.
Yeah.
But every weekend I did open houses. I was like the open house queen.
Wow.
And sometimes nobody would show up and I would be second guessing my life. Like, why am I here in this empty house and no one is here? And the other times I'd have 15 families, And so my very first client came from an open house.
No
And
way.
upstairs, after showing him around upstairs, he shook my hand. He was like, I would like to hire you. And I was like, is this real? It's amazing. Yeah. And I think his price point was like 400. And to me, like, coming from our town, it was like $12,000 is like, that's a lot of money. It's just crazy, unbelievable. And so I continued to do that for 2 years. Like, I'm naturally introverted. I don't make the phone calls. He's a rock star going, hey, how can I help you? How can I bring you value? I knew if I could get like rapport with them in person, that would go farther for me. Everyone will have a different niche. None of that costs money. So 2 years into it, I finally built a database. I finally started getting referrals from my past clients. There was a guy on LinkedIn who messaged me, and y'all get on LinkedIn. It's like Facebook for business. It's awesome. And he was like, hey, I'm building these 2 fancy, $1.6 million house, $1.4 million house. Bring me a buyer. And I was like, I would love to list those houses. I want to list those houses. They're gorgeous. And he's like, oh, no, just bring me a buyer, which is every builder, right? I go, I want to learn more about you and your business. When can we have coffee? And he was like, oh, okay. And so 30 minutes later of coffee appointments, I had both of those listings. And then I was like, this is our game plan. We're going to go to builder events. We're going to go to wedding expos. This is how we're going to bring attention to your business.
Wow.
And still to this day, I have a relationship with him. I'm his exclusive realtor. So that's been awesome. So relationship based, right?
Wow.
And then one of my friends was selling this little crappy $80,000 condo, and this lady from the Woodlands was going to buy it. And it was cheap. So her realtor was kind of annoyed with her, and she wanted to end up renting it out. And she's like, you can deal with the lease. I don't do leases. We're not going to do that. And I was like, I'll do your lease. You can use my old pictures. I'll do anything for you. Like, I still have this, like, bring value, right? Come to find out, she ran the #1 chemical company in the entire world, BASF. And that was my love language, right? I could speak chemistry and talk to all those engineer type people. And so that to this day has just fed, I've probably averaged 10, 15 deals a year just off of that. So you never know, no matter what the price point is, how valuable those people will be.
Wow. So Jeff, for you, it was baseball, right? Just cold call scripting. But for Amanda, it was something completely different. It was open house. It was building relationship with builders. So I want everybody to really take note. Try to find out the niche that you're good at, and once you find out what you're good at, just double down on it, right? If you don't like cold calling, if you don't like Facebook, fine, do open house. And if you don't like open house, like do something else. But yes, find something that you're really good at, and really double down on it. And I see it's working.
Yeah, it's not bad. I did it the hard route. I did just like you're saying. FSBO's expired, terminated, pre-foreclosures, just got on the phones. I joined a team when I moved to Houston because I didn't know anything about real estate or Houston really. So I got lucky with that guy. His name's Renee Sorolla. I still do the things today that he taught me years ago. And my only job for him right at first was to make 20 contacts a day. 20 contacts a day seems easy, but that's not 20 phone calls. Jeremy knows that's 60 phone calls to talk to 20 people.
20 voicemails.
Right. So my goal is pretty easy. He's like, just talk to 20 people a day. And then in 5 days, you've talked to 100 people. And the cool thing about that, in that month, you would have talked to 400 to 500 people. And that is a bulletproof system for your business. Like, it doesn't matter what market you're in. If you're always talking to people and selling them your services, you're always going to build up a pipeline. So I had to do that. And I was forced to do that. And at the time, I was like, this sucks. Everyone says no. Right. And I'm running out of people to call. And he's like, call the phone book. And I was like, why am I calling the phone book? That's a waste of time. He's like, you got to get your contacts in. And then he told me something about a year and a half in. I do want you to ensure that those clients are using us. But while they're telling you no and you're calling random people, you're perfecting your scripts. You're getting told no and you're finding ways to get them to say yes. So I don't care who you call. 20 people every single day talk to them. I did that for 3 years. So now there's like anybody can throw anything at me right now and I know exactly what to say.
Wow.
FSBO expired, terminated. Like, so I did it the harder way than that. But yeah.
Yeah, so you work hard and Amanda got lucky. I see.
Exactly, yeah.
The harder I work.
She said she was an introvert and she was patient.
Yeah.
I was
I
messing
love the
around.
saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
So
Yeah.
fast forward a little bit, you did the hard work, you put the work in. So how do you scale, from a solo agent eventually to a team? And tell us the story of that. How do you scale up to a team and then, kind of leverage everything out?
Everyone wants to have a team, right? You're like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to do this. And then I don't want to work anymore. And I want those people to go off and do all these showings. I'll just build a team. Y'all, it is hard work. So the team leaders in this room, yeah.
Kudos to you.
Kudos to you. Like, you have to really, we did a lot of studying. We interviewed a lot of teams. We made sure we knew the right structures. You're not just, giving them leads, you're building relationships, you're making those people successful, you're building future leaders, really pouring into them. But we knew, I think you can only run so fast, right? And so for me, after I sold so many houses, I was like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I'm tired. I haven't had a vacation in a long time. My clients are asking me all these questions, and I love the referrals, keep them coming, but maybe I can't take anymore. You physically have a limit, right? And so then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll have an assistant do my paperwork. I'm just too busy for my paperwork. And then I listened to this podcast, I think, and it was like, find out what you make per year and then do the math and find out what you're worth per hour. And I did that and I was like, oh, I'm worth a lot per hour. And then they're like, well, then why are you doing paperwork? Like, you could hire someone for, $15, $20 an hour to do, and you're worth way more than that. And I was like a control freak, right? I was like, oh, whatever. Now we're paying per transaction, so you guys can do that too. Then I was like, well, what else can you leverage off? Okay, we'll leverage off showings. And after a while, you're like, I need true talent. Like, I can't just have a bunch of little helpers. You need to go find talent. So that's when I tried to recruit him and he said no. And so I had to go find 2 other buyers agents.
I said, I'll join you if you marry me. And she was like, yes. No, I was on my 3rd year at my, that's good, right? I was at my 3rd year on my team. And when I joined that team, he said, you got to do a 3-year contract because people come in and they realize what I'm teaching them is actually working. And then they leave me. I need you for 3 years. So don't sign that unless you're going to be here 3 years. And I was like, okay. So I gave 50% for 3 years, but in that 3rd year, I sold 48 homes, right? And at 50%, like whatever, I felt like I ran as fast as I could that year. So I went to my team member, Renee, and I said, hey, man, sold almost 50 houses for you this year. I want to make more money next year and do more things, but not really trade all that time for money. There's got to be something I can do for your team. And unfortunately for him, he said, if you want to sell, if you want to make more money, you got to sell more houses. And I was like, wrong. There's gotta be a way. Like, why can't I train your buyer's agents? Why can't I get a little piece of that? Why can't I do this? And he said that wasn't his business model. So I went out, I tried to buy jwproperties.com and all that kind of stuff. And then she had Cityside. So we just kind of teamed up, and
Smart move. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, I'll be Jeffrey Whitespear Properties. I was like, who knows how to spell
Yeah.
Whitespear?
so I was like, okay, I'll do
It's like a Google
JW property. Like, but then I was like, no, let's, so we did Cityside Properties.
Yeah.
That was-
I like that. It's your city owned it. See, so I remember we talked about brand in the Tony Robbins event. So
Yeah.
you get your brand out, and
So our big thing is Cityside. It's just within the city or just on the side of the city. And everyone, like for Dallas, you guys are all here. You're going to the restaurants, the bars. You're spending your money here. You're investing into this place. You're so proud of it. If you don't own a piece of this town, it's just so crazy. And so it's your city. Own it. Be a part owner of whatever you're proud of.
yeah. Also, seems like thing is really good at Keller Williams. You really know what you're doing. You're hiring buyer agent. You're hiring transaction coordinator. Life is good. Why all of a sudden risk everything and go to EXP?
So I'll jump on that one because still pissing me off. I didn't want to leave Keller Williams, to be honest with you guys. Thank goodness I did, but I didn't want to leave. So same type of conversation I had with Renee, I had with the team owner, Bruce King. And I said, thank you, KW, for everything. But now I did 180 transactions last year. I don't mind my cap. I really don't like the royalty fee. I don't like this. I don't like that. 180 times 120 on transaction fees, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Can we kind of cap some of this stuff off? Can we do this? Can we do that? And unfortunately for him, he said, that's not our business model. He said, if you weren't at Keller Williams, you wouldn't have done that. And I'm just like, BS, I would have done that anywhere, to be honest with you, but thank you. So he said the wrong thing. So it kind of got us looking. So I was like, my biggest thing was to kind of trim the facts. And I think my 5th year in real estate was my first time I ever did a P&L report. I knew I was making money. I thought I was making
And
money.
at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, you get that 1099. You're like, where did all that money
And
go?
then I just saw, I saw all this kind of stuff and I knew I could control this, but then what I couldn't control is being a part of KW or any franchise, really being a part of that was 60, 70,000 off of our income, just being associated with Keller Williams. So I was like, and again, it wasn't Keller Williams. It was any broker at that time. So I was like, okay, Amanda, get your broker's license. Now we can do our own thing. And then I interviewed some brokers and I was like, guys, what are some of the expenses? And thank you. What are some expenses that I can expect to do as a broker? My goodness, you had to pay for everything, including the coffee filters in the back. Like you need pens, you need paper, and you need electricity, you need printers, you need this, you need that, you need staff. And I was like, man, that's 100,000 right there. So we're not doing that.
We could hear the pain in his voice. I was so thankful that he was honest, not just like, oh yeah, it's cool. I'm the boss. Everybody's doing it. He was like, don't run out of coffee. Those realtors, like he was stressed out about it.
He said, Charlie, I remember just day I said, Charlie, why, like, you seem like you're killing it. He's like, dude, I'm not killing it. Like we were making money, but he's like, once I think I have it figured out, the damn coffee maker breaks. Like once I like just little stuff like, or the printer. So I was like, oh, damn, I'm not doing that. So I actually stayed, I would say, at Keller Williams for 3 more months before we found EXP or EXP found us. And I was like, and just like we said earlier, if half of this stuff you're telling me is true, I think I'm gonna give it a shot. Hey, Bruce, keep my corner office. I may be back in 90 days.
I think
That
we
was
were
6 years ago.
just like we were looking for something. We just didn't know what we were looking for. And we loved where we were, but we were tired of being the top producer. Like if you can't outgrow where you are and you can't, you're at the ceiling, if you will, we wanted our ceiling to become our floor. We wanted to get to that next level and we didn't know how to do it. And we were surrounded by people who had never done it before. And the coach I loved, productivity coach, she was amazing, but she'd been coaching for 15 years and she had been out of production for 15 years. She was out of the pulse. And I was like, we need to surround ourselves by cooler people than us, like people who can really teach us and scale us. And we had hit a cap. It was like, okay, we got up to 125, then 150, then 170. So every year we're selling like 20 more houses. And we're like, how do you get to that next level?
Wow.
Find someone bigger than you.
Okay.
Sure.
Also, so how does EXP find you? If you don't mind, dig deep a little bit. Like who first introduced you to EXP?
A guy from Dallas,
Uh-huh.
actually. Random phone call from this Dutch man. And I was like,
See? Calling what?
random guy. Yeah. And he stalked us on LinkedIn, funny enough. And he was like, oh, you came from here. You're cool there. But he had a cool accent. So I was like, you should listen to him. He's got a cool accent. Why not?
Holland,
Holland, whatever. It was a cool accent.
is
Come-
it?
Yes.
It's Holland, yeah.
Come to find out, he's like a professional soccer player. He's not even like a full-time realtor, but he was super passionate about growth and about this model. And he was like, it's a technology-based company that's revolutionizing the industry, especially the way agents are paid. And you could tell he has done that like a million times. And I was like, I don't know. So he's like, let me just send you some information. And we had a team now, right? So it was like no pressure, but it's a decision for us,
Yeah.
for our family, for our rebranding, for our team, for their families. And so we thought we knew everything, right? You think that you're bulletproof and you've got it all figured out. He was like, listen, if I could just get a guy to come talk to you and your team, next Tuesday at like a corner bakery. Was it corner bakery?
Yeah.
A little coffee shop. Could I have an hour of your time? We had no idea what we were walking into at all.
Yeah, no, I went,
I'm sorry, let me
Yeah,
stop a little
thanks.
bit because
Yeah.
Amanda mentioned something really important. So I'm gonna, what's Michael? What, Michael Ma?
or at least three Michaels.
Okay. So, Michael Ma keep telling the whole team, like, don't explain the model, don't explain the model. Bring it to me, bring it to Tuan, bring it
Yeah.
to Hui,
Oh yeah.
bring it to Amanda. So I just want to reiterate that fact for EXP agent. Did you just see what Wilco just did? He make a phone call and then he do not explain the model, right?
He set the appointment.
He set the appointment and he let the professional explaining it. So
Yeah, I'll dive in on that
continue.
too.
Yeah.
EXP has so many value propositions. You're going to disrespect the opportunity of EXP if you try to explain it over the phone. One, you can't expect someone to make a brokerage change over the phone. So don't try to get them to do that. Let them know that a lot of this stuff is visual and say, I don't want to, miss out on, not doing this the right way. So when do you have 30 minutes to sit down and watch something with me? When do you have 30 minutes to talk to this person? Like, let's not do this now kind of thing. And if they're harping you, well, what's the split? Man, I'd love to tell you that, it's going to take 30 minutes next Wednesday. You free? Like, keep pushing, and don't try to sell someone over the phone. They're going to, anyway.
It's
Yeah.
like going on a first
I did
date
it,
and
yeah.
asking them to marry you, right? Like they have no idea if they even like you
Yeah, first
yet.
date. Hey, how many kids you want to have? That doesn't, that's not going to work, right? She's like, yeah, I got that one.
I'm out.
And the other night,
So come back to your story. Wilco did the right thing. He make the connection. He bring them to.
he came and he solved a few essential problems for me. I was looking at for the first time ever, like my P&L.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed on my P&L, I had my CRM. CRM was Boomtown. And it was $3,600 a month. So about, call it $40K a year. And we were rocking and rolling with Boomtown. But I was like, man, you just said you have KV Core. Else it was called conversion. How much is conversion? And he's like, oh, conversion is included in your monthly fee of $85. And I was like, no way. But he said it is. So I was like, okay, babe, that's a big deal for us. And then he said some other things. And I said, well, I'm not a traditional agent. At this point, I'm doing 220 deals a month or a year. That would be awesome. 220 deals a year. And I said, well, these fees you were telling me about, can you cap those fees? He said, absolutely. While you're paying your cap, you don't have any fees. You have a, insurance and broker fee. And then once you cap, you have fees and they cap at 5,000 a year. And I said, it caps at 5,000 a year. It's like, yes. And then once it caps at 5,000 a year, that $16,000 that you paid in, you can actually earn that entire thing back in company dollar.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how much is the company dollar? It's like, oh, it's like $1.81 a share right now. And I was like, that seems terrible. Like, I don't want it. But again, I started thinking, okay, there's a 40K savings. Let's say I do earn my 16K back. There's another 16K. They're going to pay us to be at this brokerage. So
Yep.
At that point, that's all I needed to hear. I was kind of in, but I still wanted to kind of hear it from other people. So did our vetting, did all that kind of stuff, met with 3 of the 6 board members in the company just to make sure, because this was a big deal for us. And then, that was 6 years ago. I was the 20th agent. She was like the 21st agent in Houston. And like we're the 1800 agent at EXP. There's, 85,000 agents. So
yeah. Wow. But
Yeah.
I do want to mention something, Wilco and Rob, they did not even, they met you. They did not, start what we call EXP on people, right? We don't start to explain the model right away. He asked you like, Jeff, what do you need? Show me your P&L, like anything that you're looking for, for your next, business model. He listened to that, right? And then he delivered a solution.
Yeah.
So I want
he noticed
everybody
that,
to take note of
he noticed I was trying to trim the fat of my business. So he talked about the KB core, how I can trim fat. He talked about how I can earn my cap back. He didn't mention stock. He did not even mention rev share. And once he did start mentioning rev share, I was like, I don't get it. I'm not interested. I'm not a recruiter.
I don't want a second job.
You had me at hello kind of thing. Kenny Chesney, good song. Like I'm in. So
That's so true that people are like, how do you recruit someone to EXP? Like, what do you say? And every conversation is so different because everyone's experiences are different, their needs are different, their businesses are different. So really almost like a business intake of how can I bring value to you, not expecting anything in return and build that relationship. And it's magnetic.
Yeah. Also, so fast forward now, I see, I think last year, you sell 300 homes. and all of a sudden, this year, Jeff, number two team in the entire company.
Mhm.
Yeah, 600 house guys, 600 home a year. So kudos for you to that. Yeah. So kind of explain to us, what how you leverage how you leverage the EXP system, because I know you very using KB Core heavily, and especially all the system and tool that EXP really offers. So explain to us, how do you leverage that to scale up to your business to basically, my God, 600 home a year. That's
Well, I hired thank you. I hired a coach because I got to the point where I thought I was implementing new things and trying to leverage my agent's time and everything, and we're still selling 250 to 280, not really hitting that 300 mark. And every year, I would get at the end of the year, and I'm like, damn, about 280 again, which is great, right? But I wanted that 300, so I was like, okay, you got to hire a coach. You got to think differently. I'm not doing something right. I got to be. So I hired Sean Kokoska, and Sean Kokoska is the absolute machine. He sold like 5,000 houses. He has a huge sales team in Austin. And he was telling me all the things that I could leverage off from my agents. One thing I could leverage off that really helped my agents sell more houses is the fact that my agents spent most of their time showing homes. And I said, well, yeah, that's their job. They should show homes. They said, wrong. They should get the client in. They should show them the initial houses and things like that. And then let that client know that because they're they're hired, Jeff Whitesburg at Cityside, they get a showing concierge service. And the showing concierge service allows them to open any door at any time throughout any time of the week. And while the agent, the talent, the person that's going to negotiate the contract and do all that kind of stuff, they're going to be out there running comps, getting the sales disclosures, making sure there's nothing wrong with the house, blah, 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 while, we is out showing them power, or whoever, right? And get them excited about that. And then what happened is, my agent spent more time lead generating and not showing homes, and they started selling more houses. And I was like, okay, so I implemented that. And then we obviously had the TC, but I think the biggest thing for us that we implemented was we opened up other markets in other parts of Texas. And that seems like a big challenging task, but it's so easy because I'm with EXP.
Yeah.
I just need Jeremy Smith in Dallas to have access to his local MLS for me to be able to copy and paste my KB Core capabilities to Dallas. That's the only thing I need. Traditionally, if me and Jeremy wanted to open up a Dallas franchise, what would we have to do?
Open up an office.
We need, my goodness, and don't forget the copy. Right? So it's right. I'm sure you do, but now, so I did the same thing in Austin, did the same thing. So all I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing I'm doing in Houston. I'm just copy and paste it in other markets around Texas, and we literally went from 280 deals to 587 deals last year. That was the biggest difference.
And
right?
collaborating with the other agents. Like, you think you have it all figured out, and you meet someone like Queen, you're like, you did what? And you're house hacking? And what's this mini house behind the house? And it's just so cool. Like, leveraging everyone else's time as well. I go to on listing appointments. Like, I have one that we just are selling for 1.2, and I went on there and I said, listen, this guy has like 4 or 5 other houses. He's going to his Colorado house while I sell his house. It's ridiculous. And I said, while you're gone, I'm going to do an open house every single weekend. I could do 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. It doesn't matter. We're going to list on, Thursday, no showings Friday, build up that momentum, crazy open houses this weekend. If it doesn't sell this week, open houses next weekend, open houses next weekend. He was like, really? And I go, yes. And I have, hundreds of people in my market that are going to share it and put it on Facebook and put it on Craigslist. And we're going to just have it all over the internet. And he's like, really? And I was like, yes. And we're going to do listing syndication, like all these things that EXP already does, right? I never had to do an open house. My people did open houses. They ended up getting listed. One guy got a $1.6 million listing lead, $900,000 listing lead. Another girl got 2 buyers off of it. They're happy. My seller's happy. The house sold. And so just leveraging our team legacy, everybody. I never had to do any of that work. My client was happy. And so collaboration, hands down, has been the game changer.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so I just want to quickly recap that. First of all, the split, is amazing. It's 80-20, $16,000 cap. And then after that, if you close 20 more deals, you have the chance to earn all of that money back in form of, the company stock. So this is the publicly traded company. The symbol is EXPI. You can look it up. You can buy it on the NASDAQ, but agent, us, you and me, we earn the stock just by buying and selling houses, and like I told you, the rich don't work for money, we work for equity. So that's the first piece of it, the piece that is missing in every single real estate agent. Now we're going to move on to the second piece. So Jeff, not only you sell 600 homes a year, you have an empire. an entire organization of 1,000 agents.
Oh, yeah,
called him
almost
like-
1,000, That's
So,
a big deal.
congratulations on that. 1,000
Oh.
agents. Yeah. So I guess, just go slow a little bit.
Okay.
How do you set your mindset, from selling houses to say like, hey, I'm gonna block some time. I'm gonna, I'm gonna connect with some agent and show them this opportunity.
Yeah, so I had to, again, that was my coach. He said, why aren't you taking advantage of this additional stream of income called revenue share? And I said, I don't have time. I'm trying to sell a house. He said, you're not making time for it. I was like, yeah, I know. I got to call buyers and sellers. And he goes, well, I want you to take advantage of the additional income stream. So I know you have to talk to 20 buyers and sellers a week. How about you talk to 5 agents this week? And next Friday, when we have our call, we're going to talk about how those conversations went. And I was like, okay, I'm paying you money. I'm paying you to tell me what to do. So this is what we're going to do. So I did talk to 5 agents that week about EXP. And then when I went to his coaching call, he's like, okay, how'd the conversations go? And I was like, man, 4 of them signed up. And he said,
How?
okay. So he's like, why do you think they signed up? I was like, I have no idea. I was just educating them on the model and talking to them, just like I would talk to a FISBO and tell them my value proposition, just like I talked to an expired. It's the same kind of thing. He's like, it's easy, isn't it? And I'm like, well, I guess. So what I try to do is focus. Now it's changed a little bit because we have 1,000 agents and I need to focus. That's more of a business thing. But earlier in my recruiting career, call it, because you're recruiting all the time, right? I recruited my wife, right? I recruited, my team leader. I recruited my assistant. Like you're always recruiting. So I decided to make Wednesdays my days where I was going to recruit, and then the other 6 days I was going to be selling houses. So we did wealth building Wednesdays and we did lunch and learns on Wednesdays, kind of like this, where we try to give as much value to the agent, kind of explain the opportunity to them, and it allows anybody anywhere to come and learn about EXP. And that's kind of what I started to do. So
Okay.
we just did wealth building Wednesdays. Remember those? You
Yeah,
were there,
absolutely.
So I found Hui and I just stopped doing anything.
You just
But
need one good sushi.
You
day.
see one Hui, that's all you need.
What's funny though, is Rob said you need this well chart. So if you guys don't have a well chart,
Yeah,
it is
write
like
it
a
down.
recruiting Bible. It is amazing. I check it all the time. It keeps me accountable. But he said, let's make a 5-year plan. What is your freedom number? I was like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like you're young, you're bulletproof, you're gonna work forever. You're good at what you're doing, right? You don't really need passive income. And if you need it, you go buy a rental house. And that's what everybody does. And he's like, no, there's no capital risk here. You just invest a little bit of time and help some people out and you get paid. So he's like, what is that number? And so you come up with like how many thousands you need to pay your bills. So we're like, if life happened, you could breathe or your kids would be okay. And then they're like, by the way, you can leave this to your kids, which is crazy, monumental, life-changing. And he said, okay, so your goal, you need 500 people in your group. So we're going to go ahead and write down at the bottom of this page, 500. And I remember doing it going, so stupid. This is never going to happen. This is such a big number. And it was like, that's for those people. Like you 1%ers who are up there, talking, it's for you guys, or you sales guys, or you alpha men or whatever. I was like, that's just something that normal people can get to. And I remember after like his first lunch and learn, he was like, oh, I made $16,000 in passive income. And I went up to him afterwards and I was like, I'm kind of offended that you're telling my people that they can make $16,000 a month in passive income, because they're making life decisions. Like they could really quit their jobs and go do this. And they're not going to be able to do that because it's just for you people, right? I had to go back and apologize to him like 2 years later, be like, I'm sorry, you were right. You're way smarter than me. So make a big, scary, unobtainable goal. And it's just mind blowing to know that we've doubled it now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and just start with one agent at a time, right? So yeah.
Yeah, our goal was, I don't know if she said this, I blacked out there. My goal was one agent to sign up a month. And in 5 years, I'll have 60 agents that have signed up. And if they have all told 2 or 3 people, I'll have a couple hundred people in my group. And to be honest, that's probably $7,500 a month in passive income. That would be okay. Then we can start kind of doing that kind of thing. And that was my goal. And it's very easy when it's like that, kind of breaking it down. Don't say, oh, I want to be Jeff, man, I want to get to 1,000. And I'm not at 1,000, I'm only at 30 or 40. Like, don't think it like that. Think of it, I just need one agent a month or one agent now. And let me tell you something before I forget. When I started to recruit at EXP, there was like 2,000 agents. Like the stock was $3.
Yeah,
like
what does that mean?
Who is that? I said, oh, yeah, that's a recruiting company. I heard of them. It's so much easier to talk to people about EXP now because of the
Today.
validity is behind it. We're in 21 countries. There's 85,000 agents. The stock, it went to 180. It's split. I
Split,
mean, it's
yeah.
a $4 billion like company that you're going to get shares in. Like everything is so much easier to do it. So now, because it's easier to do it, we do it kind of more often.
Yeah.
So don't think that you need to be at 1,000 agents or two, and you don't need to be at 50 agents or good for her kind of thing. I need to get one agent and then help that agent get one agent.
Yeah.
And then that. So
And
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
it alone. Like find a friend and go, hey, like I'm gonna team up, I'll invite them, and then I need you to do the third party conversations. 'Cause at first I was like, oh, I have to do it alone and I hate talking to people and I'm gonna mess it up. And I'm sure I totally bombed our lunch, but I was like, afterwards he was like, I'm doing it. I was like, you are? Are you sure? Like I didn't even know what the next steps were, like how he could sign up.
I remember her call me because who introduced the we?
Jimmy Lamb.
Jimmy Lamb.
Yeah.
He was that guy that Jimmy set me an appointment with. He's signing up. I was like, really? It's working, kind of thing. Like, you're so surprised. And that's the same thing I told my coach. I took four of them signed up. I couldn't believe it. Why do you think they signed up? Well, I don't know why they signed up.
Just like we're all newbies at
And I was
selling
like,
houses,
oh,
we start from
anyway.
somewhere.
So but the lesson from that, you can't say the wrong thing to the right people. I
Yeah.
always, already looking for something like that. So it doesn't matter how you bomb the presentation, they're still gonna sign up. Yeah. So the key is,
Yeah.
to make the connection, figure out what they need, and then, connect them with us, right? We can explain them, we can help them, we're gonna build this together. Yeah. So for those that is on the podcast or doesn't quite understand about the revenue share model yet, it works just like this, right? If I really love this company, I'm gonna call my friend Cole in San Antonio, right? And Cole just get his license. I ask him what he need, and then I present the model. If it's work for him, great. If it doesn't work, doesn't matter. We're still friends. I'm still helping him in any way.
Yeah.
But if he make the decision to join the company, me, Jeff, and Amanda, we support Cole every way we can. This is an open book. This is really cool when it comes to revenue share, right? His book, Jeff's book is my book. He opened this entire book for me, right? So I have his copy. You have it. Whatever you need, we're gonna support you. And then if we can help you close the house, let's say your commission is $10,000, right? You're gonna keep 8,000 of it. Remember the 80-20 split.
Yeah.
The 20% is go back to EXP, and EXP. Hey, Hui, thank you so much for introducing Koi. He's a rock star. He closed one deal. He made $8,000. We get $2,000. We're gonna give you back, $300. Because
280.
280 because we sponsor Koi into the company. And by the way, if Amanda and Jeff wasn't here, I'm not here, and you are not here. So Jeff, thank you. Here's another 300 and
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
320.
here's another
The second
320
one.
for you. Yeah. I won't go all the way down to 7 low level here, but this is how it works. And I guess the magic is actually, you actually get paid more when he closes.
That's the magic. And the
Yeah.
magic of that again is when he closes another one, we are get paid again.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's not coming out of his pocket. It's coming from his 20%. Once his 20% goes to the company and that maxed out at 16K, we no longer get revenue share because there's no piece of the pie to cut for us. But again, when his cap starts over next year and he starts selling houses, we start getting more company dollars. So why wouldn't I give him my listing presentation?
Yep.
Why wouldn't I say, here's how I talk to FISBOs? Why wouldn't I do that? In any other model outside of EXP, you're training your competition. Don't ever give
Exactly.
your listing or presentation to the guy across the hall. Because when you're calling those expireds and so is he or she, and you show up and y'all both say the same thing, it's going to get awkward. Right. And you may not be as valuable as you want, but EXP, that's only works if all of you guys are selling houses. So
I think about it like incentivized leadership. Like you're going to be a leader. Probably most of you are mentors to someone anyway. You're helping them anyway, or the agent on the other side, it's like their first deal and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to do both of these sides, right? Like love on that person, help that person. But somehow we all get paid to do that. So we're really open and honest about, we really are committed to helping y'all grow and sell more houses. And so I know some people look at us like, oh, they sell a lot of houses, or they've got a lot of people in their group. Oh, they must be busy. Our cell phones are all over our website and all over Facebook. Like we're just a text or a call away, because what we'll do is we're breeding future leaders, and we'll invest a lot of time into you. And I tell my newbies, you're gonna be super needy for 90 days. And after a year, you're gonna kind of have it figured out. But my goal is after a while, you're a future leader and you can reach down and help that next person, because we've all been new and gone through that, but now we're all this together.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, so what is your goal for 2023 and how can we help you?
2023.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So my goal is to have 2,000 agents by the end of next year.
I already commented on how.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm done. Thank you.
Here's the cool thing about that, right? So now my goal has shifted, right? Now that I know Tuan wants to hit 1,000, why don't I just help her do that?
Yep.
Why do I have a goal? Why? Because if she does that, then now I have probably 3,000, right? So like why? So and then if Kai said the same thing, Kai like, hey Kai, what do you want to do next year? I want to add 250 people to my organization. Okay, if I help him do that, guess what? I now have 250 people in my organization. So why do I need to set specific goals for me? I just help everyone else, and by default, you get paid as well. So
Something
that's
that
the cool thing
I
about
love that Jay Kinder said at the event, he said, if you can get 5 business partners, you can get 50. And if you
Yeah.
can get 50, you get 500. And at first, like starting off, I was like, 500 is a big number. But now I'm like, you can get 500, you can get 1,000. And it really is true. So if you guys haven't started doing that yet, think about people who you'd like to be in business with and just set a goal of 5 and go, who can help me get there? And it's just been life changing. I know you hear that over and over, but then when you see it, like for us, it was Hurricane Harvey. We were stuck in our house and 30 of our houses under contract were kind of flooded. And it was like my first like, oh, shit, moment. Like, what are we going to do? I'm not invincible, right?
I still remember that.
Yes. And he pulled out the phone. And he's like, honey, we have $7,900 in revenue share coming. That pays our mortgage. That pays our car payment. That pays for the kids' school. And I was like, oh, like I've never had that before. I've never needed it before. And so do it now before you need it, and you'll thank yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we're moving on to what we call a lightning round. I'm gonna ask you some quick
all right.
questions, and then after that, we open up for audience. So, Jeff, what do you do for fun?
golf.
All right.
You got to be quick. You said lightning, dude. I was ready. Golf.
Amanda, what do you for fun that doesn't involve Jeff?
I'm so the opposite. Like I would like to just be at home in my pajamas and be hiding and have my blanket and my book.
Oh,
like
wow, look at that.
Yeah, I like to hide
Boring.
up- I know. Super cool.
What is one book that would you recommend for everybody here so they can get ready for the shift for the upcoming market?
The Bible, the first book. Second book, it would be Obsessed or Be Average. Who's
Oh,
Jeremy? Who
Grant Cardone.
is that? Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Be Obsessed or Be Average, right?
Yeah.
That's a great book.
There's so many good ones. Anything by John Maxwell is awesome.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah.
For me, the Miracle Morning has been huge, and I'm not a naturally like pop up at 5 o'clock thing. He's kind of been making me do it, but everyone has the same amount of time in the day, and there's some people who are wildly more successful than others. I'm like, oh, I don't have time, and I'm like, imagine if you had 2 more hours in the day. Like you could work out, you can have quality time, personal development time, start working and lining up your business plans. And so for me, Miracle Morning kind of made me have that mind shift of it actually doesn't suck to wake up early, and that gets you ahead of the game way before anybody even gets out of bed. So
Yeah.
get up earlier.
Since you mentioned that, I want to comment that, each revenue share group, they have different culture because of the leader, the way we set it, right? You are in Jeff group, my group, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, we're going to influence you, right? Because we're in that position. But I'm very lucky to have to hear that, Amanda, she followed John Maxwell leadership principle, right? That is what I follow. This is what I follow, Tuan follow. So if you want to, work with us, the best is to actually jump on the book. So you know exactly what I'm thinking. You know exactly what Amanda's trying to do. So write that book down. If you're in my group, John Maxwell series, the leadership book, this is what, we practice daily. So if you read that book, you're going to be aligned with it.
There's one
really,
21
well.
irrefutable laws of leadership. It's awesome. It talks about the law of the lid, and again, your ceiling being your floor. And then he turned me on to one that was like, everyone communicates, few connect. I was like,
Yeah, that was a
oh,
good one.
that's good.
Yeah.
Like when you're with someone, like really be with that person and be present. And it's been a really good book.
Yeah, everybody talk, but not a lot of people connect. So
Yeah.
that's the perfect book to read. Yeah, if you want to connect with buyer, seller, agent, everybody communicate, but very few connect by John Maxwell. That's a great book. So Jeff,
Yep.
I'm gonna take all your money. I'm gonna take your car. I'm gonna
Alright.
take all your rep share.
Yeah.
You can only pass one advice to your kid. Not your money. What would that be? One advice.
Join EXP Realty.
That worked. That worked.
Get your real estate license.
That worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
They have no idea. No, we're making them get a job at Chick-fil-A.
No, but like not to get too deep, but I mean, if you really want to you know, find something that you
Yeah, we talked about that.
find something that fulfills you other than, you know, don't do it for the money kind of thing. Really try to find something that's passionate that kind of fulfills you. The money, if you're coming in here and doing this stuff and you're passionate about it and you're having fun about it, the money is just going to come in. Like it's funny. It's not, and eventually the money will not fulfill you, right?
Yeah.
So you got to find a deep why and really serve that purpose.
Yep.
Impact is way
Yeah.
better.
Amanda, somebody stole your trust fund. You can only pass what advice to your kid. What would it be?
To teach them how to be resilient. I read a book, Raising Resilient Children, and it was almost like, let them get knocked down, let them get picked on, let them overcome objections. Don't tie their shoes when they're 8 years old, which I still struggle with. But you know, you follow people who are really successful and you're just like, oh, must be nice. No, they've gotten hit by a bus way more times than you have. They just get up faster. And so I think teaching them how to bump into something or get knocked down or go, oh, that was something I shouldn't do, and bounce back quickly. Resiliency will save us in this market.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Well,
That's all your lightning.
that's it.
That was quick, lightning fast.
So we're gonna open up the question for the audience. Anything before we break out? Let them go home and see their kids. I know it's been like a long 2 weeks for you, Jeff. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to make sure, obviously,
Any last word? Yeah.
yeah, came by here to, you know, do as much as we can. My goal has shifted in the past. I would say probably a year to be a little bit more impactful on other people. So truly, like, don't, and it really makes me frustrated when it says, oh, I didn't call you because you're too busy. Bullshit. I want to be busy helping you, right? Don't suffer in silence and stuff like that. Okay, let's say I don't answer because I'm golfing. Text me. Let's say I'm being serious. Let's say I don't have that text because I have 50 other texts. Text me again. Like the people that are really
Yep.
seeking me and things like that. It's easy to kind of lift them up and put them in the boat. The people that are running off,
Yeah.
thinking they're throwing all this excuses out on they're too busy. You know, that's don't do that. So
Yeah. And we are genuinely passionate about helping people because we've been new and we've struggled and we've asked people for help, and if we weren't in the conducive collaborative environment, so we had to figure it out on our own. And I feel like I'm 3 years behind where I could have been if I would have just had that mentorship and that playbook. And so we're really passionate about that.
yeah, any questions? Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Any lightning questions? Jeremy?
Gary,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, you can just stick in here.
So what advice would either one of you give to a new agent, being that we're in a new market, right? This
Mm.
market is changing, it's changing rapidly.
Yeah.
We don't even know what's going to be in 6 or 12 months from now.
Right.
What advice would you guys give to a new agent starting their business from scratch?
Me, because I'm biased to teams, is join a team. There's someone that's already figured everything out already. Just be on that team. And you can't, if even if you're a new agent, you can't, or even if Jeremy, if you're a seasoned agent and you've been doing the same things for the last, how long you been an agent? 6 years, phenomenal market the last 6 years, right? It's not going to be that. So you cannot continue to do what you've been doing the last 6 years, or you're just going to fall behind,
That's
right?
another book. What got you here won't get you there.
Yeah. But yeah, so what I would say, if you're a brand new agent and you're coming into a shifting market, don't be scared, hit it head on. I did a whole presentation at Build about the shifting market and how to get in front of it. Their EXP has their REO business, and REO is coming. There's foreclosures left and right. EXP has a relocation business. Relos are coming. People, business are shifting, and institutional funds that have all raised capital, they're always wanting to buy, and they're definitely going to want to buy in a shifting market. So kind of get yourself in that headspace where you're going to thrive during a shift. And for me, brand new agent, join someone that's been doing it for a little bit. Like, I don't want to keep calling Jeremy out, but join his team and kind of learn from someone else.
And be educated. Don't just watch the news and just assume that that's the truth. Like, be educated on what is the inventory, what is the average days on market, what is the list to sales price ratio. Like when you talk to a consumer, data over drama. I just love that. I really overly inform your client so that they feel comfortable and they can make an educated decision rather than going, listen, like there's grenades everywhere and like it's just a panic thing. Like there's going to be people who have to buy and sell. Coach them through that.
Yeah, one more thing, Jeremy, on that. If you're a brand new agent, you're going to have a unique value proposition that you're going to have to create. And it cannot be the same as mine. It cannot be the same as Moz. It cannot be the same as someone else's. What are you uniquely you're going to do to sell my house that's going to be different than anybody else? And start thinking about that.
Like an elevator pitch.
If someone said, hey, why should I use you to sell my house? No hesitation. This is why you. So, thank you. Kai?
Yes. So in the last 2 weeks, I have a lot of new agents asking me these two questions, and maybe I can present it to you guys, see what you guys think on it. One is they say, well, when they met with seller this day, the seller is debating whether or not they should sell now or 3 years from now. And then if they sell now, they still want to push the price over the average market value from the comps. What will be one or two things that you can talk to that seller about the current market? And then the second question is for buyers. They say we met with some buyer who really afraid and scared because of everything that say on the news about how the market gonna crash. So they don't want to buy now. They want to rent for a few more years. What would be some of the advice you can give to those buyers?
I could be the same. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, so sellers really find the motivation why they want to sell, right? You can't make an unmotivated seller motivated to sell. So again, if they say, yeah, I just want 300,000, right? I'd love to get 300,000. Why you need 300,000? What's important about that number? Oh, yeah, I'll figure I get 300,000. I can do that. Like they don't seem that motivated. So, okay, man, well, best of luck to you kind of thing. You know, I hope I can get you 300,000. Like don't. So really dig in and ask. The more questions you ask, the more motivated they can get. But if those sellers are selling in order to buy something else or something like that, I mean, let them do that. The market right now is shifting, or it has shifted, right? But there's opportunity in every market, right? If you look at it with the buyers, I mean, what is better? What is worse? Locking in a 5.5% interest rate or paying a 100% rent payment? You're at 100% interest rate. What's worse? And the best time to buy is 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The best time is always a couple of years ago. You should have bought a couple of years ago in any time, right? So, okay, oh, I'm scared the rates are going to go up. You're at 100% interest rate right now. You're paying someone else's bills, right? And then let's say the market crashes and then we need to boost the economy. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to lower the rates. That's what you can do then. You can refi and get into a new rate. So
There's that cute saying, marry
Yeah.
the house, date
I didn't
the
want to say
rate.
that.
I think
Everyone
it's
says that.
so cute.
Jeremy, we hate that.
I love it. I think it's a good one.
I can't say.
I don't like the motto. I don't like the motto, but I like the idea.
Right? And you can think the people who bought at 2.9% interest paid $50,000 above market value, right? Like they overpaid way more than what the interest rate net is going to do for them. So now you can finally get below this price. You can get concessions towards closing costs. You can get your home warranty back. You don't have to, give your firstborn child to get the house. Like it's just crazy. It was so competitive, and so capitalize on it. That's a
Yeah, but
good
ask
thing.
more questions, Guy. If they're hesitant on buying, what specifically hesitates them from buying? Like dig into that.
And if they want to overprice because their neighbor sold 2 months ago for way more and there's an ego there and they have this fixed mindset that they missed the boat kind of thing, again, overeducate them, pull the data and go, here's now. And this market is shifting. And in 2 weeks, it could be different. We've never been through this before, but this is what I can see, and have them kind of go through that exploratory stage with you.
Yeah, don't ever take an overpriced listing, not in this market, regardless of any market, especially this market, right? So if someone wants to overprice their property, it's overpriced. Sometimes I traditionally just bring sold properties I traditionally just bring sold information to the seller, right? In this market, bring expired information, bring terminated information, bring active information. Here's all the active properties that have currently overpriced their house because they've been on the market 40 days. Here's all the ones that overpriced their house and expired off the market. These ones, their agent pissed them off and they terminated with them. Like all this kind of stuff. Look at all those prices. So I want to sell your house. I don't want to list your house. So we can list it at 275, or you'll find someone that wants to tell you what you want to hear and they'll list it for 300. And you'll be one of these actives. You'll be one of these terminated. You'll be one of these expired.
Pick your poison.
I like that.
Yes, I got a question about rev share. So my deep why to start doing rev share because I know I can pass it over to my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think you just mentioned right, and one of my team members just asked me the other day whether my kid need to get the resident license and enjoy EXP in order to inherit it.
That's right. So currently, like let's say me and Amanda have built up something, quite extraordinary, and we want to give it to our kids, and they want to give it to their kids. Currently, your kid has to get their real estate license or find a trusted family member to get their real estate license. So what'll happen is let's say something terrible would happen to me and Amanda, we would have an LLC, and then that, our daughter, when she turns 18, or my brother can get his license.
He's
right?
in here.
I don't know where he's probably that. So my brother can get his license and essentially be an owner of that LLC as well, and then they can that's how currently it is.
Yeah.
But that is a flawed system. That's an easy fix. they are working on something way better than that. I
Right.
don't know what it is, but they're working on
Right now, Trek is everybody is considering it commission. So in order to get
Yeah.
commission, you have to be licensed. And so the loophole, and you have 1 year to get licensed. So let's say the kids are too young or they're old and they're just not going to do it. Someone that you know within that LLC or trust or
Yeah.
S corp or whatever entity you set up for that, just one person has to be licensed. And then they can give it to the kids. So technically the kids could get
it.
away
And
with
unfortunately, we went through that with a team member, I'd say a
During
year and a half
COVID.
ago. He passed away from COVID. He had a couple hundred agents in his group, or close to 100 agents in his group. Wife wasn't licensed, his son wasn't licensed, and he was getting quite a bit of money. And we just, trust me, EXP wants to do the right thing. They didn't have anything in place for that, to be honest. He just passed away. I'm like, oh crap. So we kind of worked with it, and now his son is licensed. They're getting that.
and the child would take over that exact spot. So every registered thing that he would have gotten goes to him and all the stock. It's interesting, like to see it live. All the stock covered their bills for that year. It covered
Yeah,
the
they
funeral
also
costs.
get the stock. They don't just, EXP is they want to do the right thing.
It's built by agents for agents.
Yeah, so the next question is gonna make that my monthly paycheck from website bigger and also like create something bigger for my kid. So recently I got a lot of new agent coming in. So for the first 10 or 20, I feel comfortable like to coaching them, to spend time with them. Because like if I bring them in and they're not producing, they're not selling house, I feel bad. But then the group getting bigger. So I feel like a lot of my time is taking out. So how you create a system, like eventually you have to make a system like, right? And then bring up like keeping adding value for them, create more basket, get more leads, and then add on the value to the new agent. So they're happy to be here. I know my team now, I don't know. So last month I got one agent left me. So I was very shocked. Like I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I talked to her like what the real reason. So he just she say like, yes, you have me a lot, but just for some reason I cannot produce. Yeah.
So,
So
not to get too direct.
Get it right.
Most
I'm feeling
agents-
really
most
bad.
Real
If-
estate agents are terrible.
yeah,
They really are. It's not you. You can give them avenues of success in the vehicle, but most are not going to be successful. You're gonna have to swallow that and hold on to that. That's just the case.
People quit at
The
everything.
people coming towards you, like I said earlier, the people that are swimming towards you, help those people. And that's gonna really help you define what you do with your time. Don't chase someone that's running away. Like think about a shipwreck, and there's hundreds of people, and the shipwreck goes down, and all these boats are coming. They're trained to help the people that are swimming towards them, legit. The people that are swimming away from them, they unfortunately can't chase them.
Or
That's
they're
their
freaking
job.
out, they're panicking.
They're gonna save way more people if they just help the guys get into the boats. If this guy that has a boat that can fit 12 people and there's 8 hanging on the side, help me, and one swimming off and he jumps to save them, that guy's gonna drown, they're both gonna die. And all these people are stuck too. Right? So unfortunately, it sucks. You can't help everyone. You can give them the successful tools and the avenues of success and everything, but it's just help the people coming towards you. So
Yeah, focus on the producer and focus on the leader.
thank God we produce pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
So my question is like for somebody new like me, what advice do you have regarding, developing my skill set and also like in terms of like rev share team? Because I like in my market right now, it's wide open. And so the big question is, let's say I try to bring somebody in. Their question will be, what experience do you have?
Hmm.
And it's a big question for me because I don't really have anything to offer.
That's
So-
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, so what advice do you have for me?
One, always wear the Dolce & Gabbana shoes. Wear the shorts, wear the chain, don't suit up.
You can't take him anywhere.
One, always wear those. That's a big deal. Two,
Branding.
yeah. Two, you have aligned yourself with Team Legacy Organization. The Team Legacy Organization sells billions of houses in volume a year, thousands of houses a year. The people that are doing that have already created the pathways that you're going to need, and you're not going to figure that out and kind of trail through the woods like I'm doing. You don't need to do that with me. get them with Jeff, get them with Amanda, get them with Wheat, get them with your upline. And don't forget, to end same thing, don't forget that EXP has so much training in the cloud and so much that it offers. I mean, and say, you know, yes, I specifically cannot show you how to do this or that or this, but I can call Jeff right now. He'll answer and he'll talk to you. He'll tell you how to talk to an expired lead. He'll do it right now. Or here's all the videos that Jeff has done, or here's the things that Jeremy's doing, or here's the thing that Tuan's doing. Like, you've aligned yourself with a company within a company that has tremendous value. And if we have tremendous value, so do you. So when someone says, you know, how can you help me sell more houses? You need to get excited. I can't wait to show you. I can't wait to you talk to Tuan, and I can't wait for you to talk to Wheat.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff sold 500 houses last year. If I can get him on the phone, would you talk to him right now? Kind of thing. Like, so do that kind of utilize. It's called third party validation. Utilize that.
We had a new agent join, Joe English. He's only been doing for like a year and a half now. And his first few, he was like, they're just gonna know I'm new. They're gonna know I could just smell new. Like it's just fresh. and there were a couple where he would slip up, and it's not just you. You can say my team this and my team that. And even on Team Legacy Facebook group under files, there's listing presentations, fire presentations. There's everything to make you look like you've got your systems in place. You just put your name on them. But there were a couple where the realtor was like, I really like you. I trust you. I feel comfortable with you. You're authentic. I don't know if you know what you're doing. And so he'd go, let me put you on the phone with my mentor. Let me call Amanda. You can talk to her. She promises she'll be here every step of the way if we hit any snags. Half the time he didn't even need me, but just having that as a close, just to go, yes, I'm new, but I'm backed by a badass team. They're amazing. And this is how they're going to help. They're even willing to get on the phone and walk you through that, or they'll be on that buyer's presentation with me. We'll go a long way, because we've all started there, and we've just kind of the whole, like, what is it? Fake it till you make it is so true. Like, I tell people, I'd be like, yes, I'd love to help you, like, buy a house. What's your criteria? Awesome. Or yes, what's your address? I can't wait to send you that CMA. And then you call and you're like, oh my gosh, I got one. Like, what do I do? What's next? Like, I'm freaking out. It actually worked. Everybody goes through that. It's totally normal. So just really lean on it.
Be more knowledgeable about EXP. If you're talking about recruiting, you were. Okay, if you're talking about recruiting, be so knowledgeable they don't assume you're new. If they assume you're new, it's because your value proposition was terrible. You didn't know questions. You didn't know. You can just watch that 9-minute video 10 times a month, and watch the 30-minute video 5 times a month. And there's no hesitation in your responses to their questions. They're not going to assume you're new. And obviously you're not going to tell them you're new. Same thing goes with a seller.
Yeah.
If they assume that you're new, and how long you been doing this? You blew it. You gave them a reason to think that like that. So be so knowledgeable about every active comp, every pending comp, every option pending comp, every expired listing, every restaurant in the area, every school in the area. They don't need to assume you're new.
I think for recruiting, you have both plays. Like for me, I would watch everybody's EXP explained, and everyone came over for a different reason, had a different story. So I'd go, oh, love what she said. Oh, I'm going to steal that from this guy. And I would made my own, if you will. But then other people they'll go, hey, to be honest, I am brand new. I love it here. The culture's awesome. Everybody's helping me. I don't know the answers to everything. And that's a really easy segue to have you met my business partners.
Yep.
So you can capitalize off of it.
Yeah. So long story short, in the beginning, don't sell EXP, right? Just like Michael Matt said, don't explain the model, right? Connect them to me, sell me, right? Sell Jeff, sell Amanda, right? As long as you know how to sell me, I can help you. Yeah. Yep.
I have a quick question
Not one question only.
Okay, relating to Kai's question about the buyer and seller in the shifting market. So specifically, I have a client asking me right now, she's under contract for a new deal. And she was like, okay, I got it under contract at 420. Why should I stay with it now? Because I can, get it much cheaper somewhere else. Why should I start?
Why is she buying?
It's her first home, and she's been waiting for 6 months now. So it should be closing.
And why did she pick that specific house?
It's closer to her work.
Okay. But does she like the back?
there
Like,
are
you see what I'm saying? Like, ask so many good. Remind her without telling her why she needs to buy it. Remind her why she bought it. You bought it because it's close to your work. Bought this, bought that, got it that, kind of that. Now I don't know the outs of that contract or whatever, but just because you're not in option period or you don't have one doesn't mean you can't try to negotiate. So give the builder some hesitation and be like, hey, she wants me to terminate this.
around, are there comparable ones?
Yeah.
That are in that same area, could she actually get something cheaper?
Yeah.
Go back to the builder, if they don't wanna go back on the market. or
The only thing I
they're
can say is no. Be like, hey, she wants me to terminate this deal at 420. There's one across the street over here at 380. I'm not saying 380, but is there anything you can do to save this deal kind of thing? Trust me, you'll get something.
We've seen a lot of builders, you know, it's a bubble, right? The builders have the lending, the title company, they have their own like appraisers. The houses are not appraising. And those builders appraisers are going, it's not worth 420 anymore. It's worth 405 or 390. And they're having to lower the prices, like whether they like it
Okay,
or
don't
not.
think that's out of the realm of lowering that price. Just because you don't have an out doesn't mean you can't ask.
And
It'll
then
have to
on the-
appraise.
Yeah.
Also learn to answer a question with a question, right? So when somebody asks
Yeah.
you a question, instead of answering it,
Yeah,
you
why?
ask the question back, right? So if I would ask you like, hey, why should I work with you, right? Instead of answer the question, you can say something like, hey, that is a really good question. I'm not sure if I'm a good fit. What are you looking for, right? So you change the dynamic of the conversation. The one who asked the question is the one in charge. So
Yeah.
a good book for it, again, right now, everybody, it's called Pitch Anything. right?
Pitch anything.
Yep. If you read that book, study that
Oh,
book,
yeah.
yeah.
Things related to this question. Is there a way to check like in that same build, like new build community, what a house like this week or last week actually closed for? Because I know, like you said, there's a 6 months down the line, there was one price, but now.
Yeah, if it was on MLS, obviously the builder will close it out. Well, not obviously, I don't know if you're new. Sorry. The builder will close it out and then they have to disclose that price. If it was off market and it's a closed out property, you can call those sales officers in those sales offices and ask them and say, I'm thinking about bringing you a client. I'm pretty sure they want to buy, the Holly Trail one. But it's hard to find comps that currently support your price. Is there anything off market that's sold in the last 2 weeks you can share with me? And they'll be like, yeah, okay, gotta sell Holly Tree. Yeah, this one sold for this one sold for that, this one sold for that. So one, check MLS if it's off market, call those sales agents. They'll give
I
you
see like a lot of new builds with like several others.
pending. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
those sales agents will tell you
And
if you give them reason to tell you.
Be friendly to them. Like in your case, you could be like, she doesn't want to pay 420 anymore. We're at 380 or we're gonna walk and it's just not worth it. It's bad business. Or you could be like, listen, this is the situation. I'm sure you get this a lot.
It
I'm
helped me
sure you
save this deal.
understand. Give me some ammo, like give me some information that would help me because she's about to walk and I really want to keep this deal together. They'll appreciate that and want to work with you way more than.
Yeah, so kind of align yourself with a sales agent, and work together to close that deal. Yeah, Jeremy?
I want to add another book
Yeah.
to the list. Because all this talk is centered around negotiations.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Never Split the Difference. by
That is a good one as
Yeah.
well.
That's a good one.
My team, we study that book consistently. It has helped me through so many self-transactions, even with builders. It is priceless.
There's a Facebook group where they do script practice and Black Swan stuff on Facebook. Like join it. They're like negotiating ninjas. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Alright.
another book you should add, the book here.
The Go-Giver.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that one.
Don't forget to read your Bible. I'm serious on that.
Also, Jeff, Amanda,
Yeah.
thank you. We're gonna go ahead and close it down.
All right.
We're gonna open up for, just networking. So everybody should listen.
I
to
have
Jeff
some
as-
giveaways.
Yeah, oh yeah, do that.
Who is a really good catcher? Who can catch something? I saw someone over there. He's a liar. You missed it.
My hand.
And then are we doing any giveaways? I went to Build this last week. And the thing was Build Legacy. And because it was, because we positioned ourselves as Team Legacy organization, that really felt good to kind of see this. So this is a notebook, Build Legacy, EXP. I don't care where you're at in your company or where you are at. You can be at Keller Williams, who is the newest agent in the room.
Newest license?
2 months, 1 month.
1 month. Let's count.
Oh, she just passed her license.
That's it.
Oh,
She passed her license yesterday.
Welcome, everybody. Yeah. Listen to Jeff McFly, Johnny Experiencing. So, whoever bring you here is gonna be your sponsor. If you heard about the event on Eventbrite, go talk to me. Go talk to Tuan. We are happy to work with you. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Good job. Man. That was amazing. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?